Factoring x squared plus bx plus c. When we're factoring using x squared plus bx plus c, you will be learning how to factor a trinomial into two binomials. You can use this factor or fact to factor a trinomial into its binomial factors. So what you're going to do is look for two numbers that are factors of the constant term in the trinomial, and then what you would do is write two binomials with those numbers, then multiply to see if you're correct. So it's a lot of factoring out, looking at binomial factors. So here's a definition. I want you to write this out. When we're factoring x squared plus bx plus c in words, we're going to factor a quadratic trinomial of the form x squared plus bx plus c to find two factors of c whose sum is b. So an example of this is if you have x squared plus 9x plus 18, we're going to look for all the factors of 18 whose sum, meaning that add up to be 9. So what are factors of 18? You have 1 and 18. When you take the sum of those, when you add 18 and 1, that gives you 19. So that's an automatic, no, you cannot use that. You get 2 and 9. When you add 2 and 9, you get 11. So that would not be a set of binomial factors. But 3 and 6, 3 times 6 gives you 18. And when you add 3 and 6, that gives you 9. So what could be two binomial factors of this trinomial here, x squared plus 9x plus 18? That's going to be x plus 3, x plus 6. And you can check your work by using the FOIL method, so check by using FOIL to make sure you did it correctly, and if you did do it correctly, then you would end up with this trinomial. So let's get into some examples. The first set we're going to factor by guess and check. So we have x squared plus 10x plus 24. So first thing to think about is to list all the factors of 24 and then find, when you add the two factors, which one will add to be 10. So you have 1 and 24. That adds to be 25x, so this one is out. 2 and 12, 2 times 12 is 24. When you add 2 and 12, that gives you 14x, so that's out because it does not add to 10x. 3 times 8 is 24, but when you add those, you get 11x. That one is out. Two last factors of 24 is 4 and 6. 4 times 6 is 24. When you add it together, you get the 10x. So x plus 4 and x plus 6 is going to be your binomial factors of your trinomial x squared plus 10x plus 24. So this would be your final answer. The factors of the trinomial are going to be x plus 4, x plus 6. You can check your work by using FOIL. So you do x times x, which would give you x squared. X times 6 is going to give you 6x. X times 4 gives you 4x. 4 times 6 gives you 24. So we get x squared plus 10x plus 24. So that's how we would check our work right there. So the next one we have here is x squared plus 7x plus 12. So again, we have to think of all the factors of 12 that add, or the sum of 7x. So when we list them, that would be 1 and 12. That adds to 13x. That one's out. 6 times 2. So we have x plus 2, x plus 6. That gives me 12. When we add that, that gives me 8x. That one is out. 3 times 4 gives me 12. And when you add 3 and 4, you get 7x. So my binomial factors here is going to be x plus 3, x plus 4. So my final answer is x squared plus 7x plus 12. The factors of that are going to be x plus 3, x plus 4. Again, you can check using FOIL. And you would get x squared plus 4x plus 3x plus 12, which then simplifies to x squared plus 7x plus 12. Here we have factoring a trinomial, x squared plus bx plus c, when your c is going to be a positive value. So look at here, we have our c is 12. Notice it's plus 12, positive. So we have x squared plus 8x plus 12. So when we're looking at positive c values, again we think of, well, what are factors of 12? That would be 1 and 12, 2 and 6. You could also use 3 and 4, but when we chose 2 and 6, that automatically adds up to 8. So my binomial factors of this are going to be 2 and 6. So I would write x plus 2, x plus 6, and this would be your final answer. Here for b, we have x squared minus 13x plus 40. Think of factors of 40. So factors of 40 could be 2 and 20. When you add it, it gives you negative 2, negative 20 gives you negative 22. Negative times negative, remember, it does give you a positive, but when you add it, you get negative 22. Negative 4 times negative 10 gives you positive 40, but when you add it, you get negative 14. Negative 5 and negative 8 gives you positive 40, which becomes negative 13. The reason they chose negatives for my factors is because notice right here, it's a minus 13x, whereas in example A, you had a plus 8x. So plus your bx here, you would use positive factors. When you have a minus bx, like minus 13x, you would use negative factors. So negative 5 times negative 8 gives you positive 40, and when you add them together, you get negative 13, which is the center value. So my factors of this are going to be negative 5 and negative 8, and my final answer will be x minus 5, x minus 8. You can check your work by using the FOIL method, and you would end up with the original trinomial x squared minus 13x plus 40. My next set of example here is when we're factoring when c is going to be negative. So before we just looked at when c is positive, now c is negative. So look at A here, we have x squared plus 2x minus 15, so a minus c. So what we have to do is think of what factors give you a negative 15 but would add to be 2x. So some factors here would be negative 1 and 15, negative 3 and 5. Negative 1 plus 15 would give me 14, so that one's out. Negative 3 times 5 gives me negative 15, and when I add it together, it gives me positive 2. So the factors are going to be negative 3 and positive 5, and the way we would write our final answer is x minus 3, x plus 5. Here we have x squared minus 8x minus 20. Notice we have our minus c, and we also have a minus bx right here, minus 8x. So factors we have to think of is one positive, one negative. You have to get a negative 20 and also a negative 8. So 1 and negative 20 gives you negative 20 when you multiply. When you add, you get negative 19. That's out. 2 times negative 10 is negative 20. When you add 2 and negative 10, that gives you negative 8. That works. So your two factors are going to be 2 and negative 10. Your final answer is going to be x minus 10, x plus 2. Again, you can check using FOIL. If your answer does not become the original trinomial, then you factored out the values incorrectly.